Like a dog without a bone, an actor out alone.
2004. Man, I was like 3 years old. I wasn't even conscious yet. He had songs like All Falls Down, Bring 'Em Out, Slow Motion. You know, a time where PS2 really reigned supreme. A time where Need for Speed Underground 1 just dropped and revolutionized the entire gaming genre. We were begging for a new Need for Speed game, and we didn't expect Underground 2 to drop like that. This is the year, you know, the LeBron of Need for Speed games came out. Need for Speed Underground 2. Me and many others, you know, this shaped my love for cars, you know, fueled it going forward. Definitely a classic, but you know, the ultimate question, does it still hold up in 2021? That's what we're here to find out. Like we have with other reviews, you're gonna cover the good, the bad, and the ugly. So without further ado, let's get into it. The good. Customization would be considered rice right now, but for this time, you know, peak 2004, this was amazing for the time. The ability to make your car your own, you know, just in any way you wanted, in any outlandish way, you know, from spinners to, you know, speakers in the back, any way you wanted, you could do that in Need for Speed Underground 2, you could make it happen. This was not seen in any racing game before. It's completely unique. Well, as you can see, it was sort of, you know, based off Underground 1, but it really took it to the next level. It was much better than Underground 1. It really just advanced the customization within racing games going forward, really set the bar. Also I liked was the progression system. Old school, start from the bottom, work your way up type progression system. Nothing like Forza has it where you're getting, you know, sent bunch of supercars every, you know, from the jump. You had to work your way up from like a Golf or like a 180SX to like a Skyline or like I think the Mustang, the 2005 Mustang was one of the better cars in the game. So like you had to work your way up, and that like you couldn't even, that leads into my second point really, into like no supercars. You had to work your way up, but you weren't even working your way up to a supercar. You're really working your way up to a nicer, you know, a better JDM car. That's the way it was. I think that's definitely a different system that really makes Underground 2 unique. You didn't have to, you know, have supercars in the game to still make it a great game. Nowadays, you couldn't have a racing game without supercars. Now it's like, you know, you can't. It's impossible, really. But in Underground 2, the way they did it, the customization made it, you can make every car unique. All this combined really made Underground 2. Gave it the ability to have no supercars in its game, which I think is definitely a good thing. Some people might see it as a bad thing, but it really fit the bill of what Underground 2 was. You know, a gritty, it wasn't even gritty, it was more of a flashy underground racing scene game. You know, I think it really fit the bill well. You know, no supercars. It made it different from other racing games at the time. It made it very unique, and it really didn't copy off anybody that much. You know, it's Underground, like I said, Underground 1 set the bar early, but it made its name out of being a full-fledged customization, old like JDM cars only game. So with that being said, continue on to obviously no microtransactions. This was, you know, the era of pre-microtransactions, so of course it's not going to have it. Unlike Payback, you see that review, that's crazy. But you know, a wondrous time, a time where you bought the game, you spent your $60 or $50, I don't know exactly how much things were back then, but you paid your money, your one-time payment, you got everything the developer wanted you to see in that one game. It was great. It was a great time. You pay your one-time payment and you get everything all at once. You couldn't ask for more, you know. Yeah, obviously this was, you know, this is a time where all games were like this, but yeah, it still needs to be mentioned, you know. Obviously, it's not similar to newer games, you know. Another point is really one of the heavier points, I think, one of the better points of, you know, Need for Speed Underground 2 was the atmosphere. The atmosphere as a whole makes it completely memorable. You understand everything, and it's just, it really sets the bar for the game. And really, you know, that's the part you remember. The nighttime only, the flashing lights everywhere, the different areas that are extremely lively, you know, keeps the world interesting the entire time. That's what you remember about Need for Speed Underground 2, as well as the customization, but mainly the atmosphere in the areas, you know, different areas you explore. So really it makes this game unique. And what coming into our next point is the soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack is another aspect that fits perfectly into the theme of Need for Speed Underground 2, with constant bangers, you know, one of the best ever. I'll say that. There's so many songs in this game that really fit the bill perfectly, from rock to rap to whatever genre you wanted. It was very all around and offered just tons and tons of options for everybody who listened to different music, but all of them are great across the board, in my opinion, of course. And now moving on to one of the most underrated parts of Underground 2, which I think doesn't get brought up at all really when we talk about, you know, Underground 2 and its, you know, how it holds up now, which obviously what we're doing, is the tuning system. The tuning system that was implemented in this game is really top notch. For a game that was made in 2004, This tuning system in this game is very high quality, very top notch. And I had so many options, so many ways to alter the performance of your car for the better or worse if you weren't careful. I know when I was little, I would mess up the gearing ratio so bad. It would be like you would have it go like from fly to 1 to 5, and then you'd be stuck on like the 6th gear forever. You know, it happens. You know, it happens if you aren't careful. But yeah, the tuning system is great. Added a bunch of things that I feel like it was more of a hidden part of the game. Like you don't even, it's not out there. They don't tell you about it. You just kind of have to find it. And also a really cool part is you kind of, you know, pre YouTube area, internet era was you had to like figure things out on your own, which is really pretty cool in my opinion, you know, being an old head right now. But yeah, tuning system was great for the time. It still holds up now, I think, very, very well. Next point is the very large map to go along with a very lively map. A lot of games, you know, they have a huge map, but you know, areas are kind of dead and you know, don't have much to them. Here, it's great. You have a very large map, a very lively map as well. Different areas, like I was mentioning, so much going on in every area. Like it keeps the atmosphere going and keeps the world very interesting, as well being very large. A lot of areas to explore. Very great point. I know that's people enjoy having a large area and lots of things to explore, and hey, Underground 2 takes care of you in that department. Now that we've covered the good of Need for Speed Underground 2, I'd appreciate a like and subscription if you enjoyed so far. But now, yeah, let's get into the bad and the ugly. The handling it's okay. It's nothing like Gran Turismo or a simulator that really, you know, delves in on that certain point. But like, yeah, it's okay. You could slide out very easily in this game. You hit one card, you're gone. It's up for you. And also drag races, you hit one button to try to go into a different lane. It might take 30 seconds for that to happen. It's an okay system at best. I don't think the handling was that great. Definitely deserves to be on the bad part, not the ugly part necessarily, but definitely wasn't a great point. Also, I'd like to mention is the story. Story is pretty forgettable in my opinion. Maybe that's, you know, I don't know about you guys, but yeah, story wasn't anything special in my opinion. I thought it was, I couldn't tell you the last guy we beat in the final race or whatever, or the goal of the game. I really don't know why we're here. To be honest, you fly in on a plane, and I think that's kind of it. I don't really know the goal. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, but I don't think the story's that great in my opinion. I do like the way it was told in the comic book cutscenes sort of way they did that. Very interesting, very cool. But the story itself is pretty forgettable and just not that great all in all, you know, with all being said. So also I'd like to mention, I hate to say this point, but the lack of multiplayer endgame. I know, it's 2004, right? Don't really count this point all that much because, yeah, it's 2004 and that's how the games were. It wasn't, you know, stuff afterwards, but that's how it is in Underground 2. You beat the game and that's kind of it for you. I think you can customize stuff still with your money and do races, but you're not progressing towards anything. It's just dead. That's just how it is. I don't really like to mention that just because I think it's, you know, it's not fair, because a lot of these games back in the day didn't have an end game really, but it still needs to be mentioned because if you compare it to like games like Most Wanted, they had the challenge series you could do after or during your career mode, so that's more content. Underground 2 really had no other content besides the main story, so I do have to give them that point. I'm sorry. And ugly, this is where things get a little more, you know, bad, I think more serious, is the graphics don't hold up in 2021. This is a review where I'm mentioning if the game still holds up in 2021, and I don't think the graphics do. They look cool for the time, you know, I thought they were really cool back in the day, but for now they're really not that great. And it's a point that needs to be mentioned. The graphics aren't that good, and I mean, maybe it's debatable. Maybe you talk about it in the comments. But for now, I don't think the graphics hold up in 2021. Definitely they just look pretty bad for the time being. Of course, you can get like, you know, updated mods and stuff. I'm talking about the base game. The base game itself, graphics do not hold up in 2021, and that's just my opinion. Another ugly point, I think, is no police. A very obvious missed opportunity. You know, nighttime racing. I think this would be the perfect time to add police. I guess they saved it for Most Wanted. Even Snoop says in the Riders on the Storm line.
And now the police want to flash their lights and chase the dog all night.
Like, bro, come on. Like, when I was little, I thought there'd be police in the game just based off this one line, this one bar. But yes, there's no police, and it's kind of really very obvious missed opportunity. I think they could have capitalized on. And now to get to the worst point of Need for Speed Underground 2, the absolute worst in the entire game is the rubber banding, the awful rubber banding. You could lead for 15 laps and get overtaken at the end of the 16th, especially the ULP races. The farther you got ahead, the higher chance the AI would just turn on the jets, and it's over for you. The rubber banding is the worst in any Need for Speed game ever. It's just god awful, and it's It's really, really bad. Like, you're never safe with Elite. You're never safe with Elite. They will come back. They will find a way to come back, and it's just really kind of annoying. It's really annoying. I guess that would be the least aggressive way to say it. It's just really annoying how that is. Of course, we look at Underground 2 with rose-colored glasses, but yes, it does have its flaws. We gotta mention that. Overall, Need for Speed Underground 2 is a great game, in my opinion. It strikes nostalgia with many, many people. It does have its issues, but it still holds up as a classic game in 2021. So, that being said, that's the end of our review, and I'd really appreciate a like and a subscription if you enjoyed, but other than that, see y'all when Forza Horizon 5 comes out.